You've quoted General Milley calling Donald Trump a fascist. You yourself have not used that word to describe him. Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
A lot of people coming out of the Congo, not just South America, they're coming from 181 countries as of yesterday. Right, and we're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to we're like a garbage can. I will rescue every town across America that has been invaded and conquered. And we will put, and that's true. Think of the words, towns that have been invaded and conquered. They've been conquered. They've been conquered.
It falls into the general definition of a fascist, using the military to go after American citizens. You commented more than once that Hitler did some good things too.
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. I'll use the word animal because that's what they are. You got to get these people back where they came from. You have no choice. You're going to lose your culture. You're going to lose your country. Does anybody believe in genes? You guys believe in genetics?
A murderer, I believe this. It's in their genes. And we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now.
It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country. I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
Let's rewind all the way back to 1990 when Vanity Fair reported that Trump's former wife, the late Ivana Trump, had told her lawyer that Donald Trump occasionally read from a book of Hitler's collected speeches, My New Order, which he supposedly kept in a cabinet by his bed. And a friend of Trump told the magazine on the record that he had given Trump the book, saying he thought Trump would find it interesting.
Came in from the Congo. They come in from South America. They come in from Asia. They come in from all over the world. These are hardened, horrible criminals, and we have to get them the hell out of our country because they've ruined, they're ruining the fabric of our country. We're just destroying the fabric of life in our country. Ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that. We'll give them the option. Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
I don't know why we're even thinking about electing somebody who's talking about putting people in camps. I don't know why why we want to elect somebody who's talking about mass deportation. I don't know why we're having this conversation about somebody who wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. Aren't we supposed to be a patriotic country?
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me. And they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. It's not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black, you're not black enough.
They're doing to the fabric, to the guts of our country. It's not even believable. And you see what's going on. You see what's going on. They're taking over towns and cities. They want to flood up Pennsylvania in particular, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the entire Midwest with thousands of migrants from the most dangerous countries on earth, destroying the character of small towns and leaving local communities in anguish and in despair. Your state will be a dumping ground for people that have committed murder, violent crimes, drugs. I never touched her. I would have had no interest in meeting her in any way, shape, or form. I know you're going to say it's a terrible thing to say, but it couldn't have happened. It didn't happen. And she would not have been the chosen one.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans.
Medicare and Social Security will buckle and collapse because these people are going onto your Social Security rolls, if you can believe it. They can't speak English. They came here illegally, and they're destroying Social Security.
Anti-Christian rhetoric and anti-Christian approach to public policy. I don't think that we've, that's right, Jesus is king, and I don't think that we've seen...
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple.
One topic that Republicans are spending money on ads is about trans issues. So number 5 was the economy. Number 1, all of this anti-trans stuff where they're saying Kamala Harris is going to give sex changes to undocumented people in prison. And that doesn't seem like the strongest message to end on a national campaign.
On day 1, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I absolutely agree with you.
But the transgender thing is incredible. Think of it. Your kid goes to school and comes home a few days later with an operation. The school decides what's going to happen with your child. But playing with a man who transitioned and transitioned.
You attack my community constantly, and you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I
got a wife.
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your claim
so
that you are a male.
if I was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because I was sexually assaulted?
I mean,
no, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis. And including my entire community and the intersectionalities of Black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American? This guy's been accused of rape. Trump, in court documents, and you're backing the guy. You have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter? What is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had.
And create 10 cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified.
They come from different walks of life, but all have one thing in common. They want their country back. Parents who want to take back control of their children's education. Veterans tired of being kicked to the curb. They believe in protecting the sanctity of life, securing our borders, standing for the flag, kneeling for God above.
Communities destroyed by this sudden, suffocating inundation of illegal aliens. I said, if you let them in, it's going to be hell. They are vicious, violent criminals. These are stone-cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. These are people at the highest level of killing. They'd cut your throat and they won't even think about it the next morning. These people are roaming our country. They could go into a restaurant, they could do whatever they want, and they will kill you because they are wired that way. These people are animals. Now they'll say, oh, that's a terrible thing for him to say. No, no, these people are animals.
Now, I believe that the Republican Party is the pro-life party. We're going to talk a little bit more about freedom of conscience. Now, we're the pro-life party because we believe that every life is precious from the moment of beginning until the moment of natural death. That is our belief as Republicans. And we're, by the way, we're going to have disagreements from time to time about how best to advocate for all of the most vulnerable people in our society. But I think that is a fundamental principle of the Republican Party, and it will stay that way.
Fair. And I would just say, if you are upset that you're being called an authoritarian, go and take a look at his Truth Social post from right before the show started. This cease and desist letter that he has about prosecuting people he suspects of cheating, and this extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters.
Lawfare. No matter how, if some people might think it's inconvenient, every human life has inherent meaning and inherent worth, and we have to protect it. Now, of course, there are questions about, how do you actually do that? And of course, you can get into the nitty gritty and we can have disagreements. I'm sure even in this room among Christians, we're going to have disagreements about how best to do that. But I think that fundamentally we have to always root our politics and our political views in an understanding that we are called to a higher purpose, and we're called to treat every human life with inherent dignity.
It's fake news people, they're so bad. There's a lot of them back there, by the way. We got a lot of them honoring that special person, right? We got a lot of fake news.
So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Do you agree with that?
He's a war hero because he was captured, okay?
You call the dead soldiers from World War I suckers and losers. I said, I didn't. And that's what they do. These are evil people. They're a threat to democracy. And, we are not a threat. The threat to democracy is the other side. They've weaponized the courts. They've weaponized the FBI to go after people. They go after parents. They're going after Catholics.
Fascism part. Oh, 100%. That's what's resonating with right-leaning independents and with Republican voters that are open to voting for her, that Haley block, the Liz Cheney block. But they aren't using this because they're not getting it from a direct source that worked with him. So they're getting this from Mark Milley and from John Kelly, who gave on-the-record interviews. You can hear it in John Kelly's own voice.
Certainly, the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian. Admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
If you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're gonna get more of it. And those kids are gonna wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home. Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's gonna have to let them know. He's gonna have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way.
You know, everyone's always talking about these terrible countries to live in, that regime and this or that. But those countries don't have crime like we do, not even close. We have many towns that are in the same position and worse, but they don't want to talk about it. It's out of control. And we have a lot of towns that haven't yet been infected, but they're petrified that they will be, and they will be. And we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of the country so fast. To expedite removal, you have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. New York Times is totally, in my opinion, corrupt. They write stories about me knowingly false. Kamala Harris is the first major party nominee in American history who fundamentally rejects freedom and embraces Marxism, communism, and fascism. You're learning about this, you'll find out nobody knew who she was. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately.
We have got to stop him, Milley said. You have got to stop him. By you, he meant the press broadly. Quote, he is the most dangerous person ever. I had suspicions when I talked to you about his mental decline and so forth, but now I realize he's a total fascist.
They're invading our towns. It's an invasion. What's happening in, like, Aurora in Colorado? Venezuelan gangs are taking over the real estate. They're becoming real estate developers. Venezuelan gangs have taken over entire apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado. Military-style weapons, AK-47 Supremes. They've got stuff that's unbelievable. They're young, they're tough, nasty people. On day one of my new administration, the invasion of savage criminals ends. And on that same day, the largest deportation in American history begins. It refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents. Then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Who happened to be there in the right color, so they grabbed her. Tim Walz, they needed some, whatever Tim Walz is. They needed a weak man, because it is the party of weak men and unhappy women. One of which leads to the other, by the way. Where you find weak men, you will inevitably find unhappy women. Sorry. And they make them on purpose. They weaken the men to drive the women insane, to have the most consistent voting bloc ever in the history of politics. Unhappy women made unhappy by weak men.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
And President Trump has done certain things that I think would put doubt in the minds of Black Americans that he is on their side. I think two of those things have not been mentioned. I think the most alarming one was the ad that he took out against the Central Park kids.
The exonerated, yeah.
Right, saying they should be given
They weren't exonerated at that time.
I was saying
that's what they're called, the exonerated five.
Yeah, the exonerated. I'm saying that they should be executed. And then the other one was that, in the sort of deep history as a real estate guy working for his dad, they were definitely using racial criteria to judge who should get an apartment in their housing complexes. So I think that is something that legitimately Black Americans can look at and say that's a very bad sign for us.
This reporter, now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter he is talking about is Serge Kovaleski, who now works for the New York Times. As you can see right there, he suffers from a chronic condition that impairs movement of his arms. A Times spokesman says they find it outrageous that Trump would ridicule the man's appearance.
Each physical trading card has an authentic piece of my suit that I wore for the presidential debate, and people are calling it the knockout suit. Unbelievable, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King ×2. Mark Robinson, he's out there, he's fighting. He's a great one. I want to thank a very good man, and he's in there fighting. He's fighting, and we know he's a fighter. The next governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and a congenital liar. He's a racist, sexist, misogynistic narcissist who wants to use the levers of power to enrich himself and punish anyone who dares speak a word against him. He has stolen state secrets, compromised our national security, betrayed our Constitution, and sacrificed the truth to further his own naked ambition.